so I have to lather up pretty good with sunscreen. And
Well, you did a great job.
thank you. Thank
You
you.
look like you never left.
Well, good. That's a compliment.
Yeah, as long as you shaved a couple strokes off your handicap, that's all I care about.
Well, I don't know if I did that, but I had fun down there doing it.
Well,
And
great.
the weather was absolutely beautiful. One day of rain, that's all we had in 4 weeks. And
Wow.
most of the time
Oh,
it was in the mid-80s and just perfect weather.
Great.
So, hopefully it brought some of that back. It
Yeah,
is
the
gonna
weather
get
was
warmer.
pretty bad here.
Yes, I know.
You missed a lot.
I was keeping track of that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure you were.
Yeah.
Waking up every day, sipping your coffee, looking at seagulls and flamingos, and you're like, man,
Yeah.
it's 12 in Adrian today.
Those suckers back there, they wish they were down here.
Yeah, tuning into the cave, critiquing everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, thanks to Chuck for sitting in for me. I appreciate that, and did a great job.
Yeah, you really brought a lot to the show.
Yeah, great. All right, shall we get started?
Sure thing.
It's time to go here. You're inside the cave.
Now for an Inside the Cave sports update.
All right, here we go. Girls basketball. Onstead winners again. They beat St. Creek 37-21. Kaylee Smith led the Cats with 11 points. They're now 13-3. Other girls' scores: Tecumseh over Pinckney 45-33. Summerfield beating Morenci. This one's a close one, 42-40. And Jackson Christian 37 to Waldron's 13. Just a couple boys' scores. No Lenawee County teams. Michigan Center 70 to Vandercook Lake 43. Napoleon 36. Manchester 28. Adrian College softball team, they had a home opener with Defiance College. Yellow Jackets, they took both games 7-3 and then 4-3. Natalie Mathers came away with the win in the opener, throwing 5 innings in the nightcap. Caitlin Hawkins got the win in 4 innings pitched. So double win for the Bulldogs. Sienna Heights softball, they split with Spring Arbor on the road on Wednesday. Cougars won the first game 2-1. The Saints pick up the offense in the second game 10-6. Lily Guerra led the Saints with an impressive 4-for-5 performance in game 2 with 5 RBIs. Kelsey Yule pitching a complete game for SA2 in game 1. 7 hits, struck out 4 in the losing effort. Yule would pitch an inning and 2/3 in the second game. A handful of girls from Lenawee County, they've entered the girls wrestling state final competition this weekend. At least 4 from Clinton, another serious contender from Adrian High. We got that word from Casey Randolph.
Absolutely. From Clinton, we have a senior, J.C. Jones. She's a 2-time All-Stater, 3rd 2 years ago, 5th last year. Looking to try to increase herself on the podium. Junior Taylor Randolph. She was 6th as a freshman and runner-up last year. Looking to try to get that top spot as well. There's an incoming freshman, Faith Blackburn, who's done a lot of wrestling already in her lifetime and looking to make some noise as a freshman. We have a sophomore, Michelle Arts, that is looking to get on the podium for the first time. We have a couple other girls that are unable to compete, but we have 4 solid girls that are entering the tournament, and Adrian High School has Kayla Rada. She placed 3rd last year and runner-up the year before, looking at getting at the top of the podium.
And again, that was Casey Randolph. That event was held at Adrian College the first 2 years. That has moved locations. Sienna Heights football. That's right, they are hoping to keep their momentum going from their win Saturday. Coach Matt Cohn tells us what he expects in the Madonna game Saturday.
Well, last week we saw great improvements on all sides of the ball. Defense, offense, and some big improvements on special teams. Set up some scores on special teams last week. So I just think we need to take the next step as a football team, continue to improve, and evaluate ourselves on tape with our own measuring bar, not the measuring bar that our opponents determines or our opponents set for us. And that's been something that we talk about daily, fixing our mistakes, improving our techniques, and getting ready for the football game. So it's kind of what we expect this game is just to take that next step as a football team and continue to improve.
I like that. Set your own expectations. Now what other people think of you. Sort of like life. You can hear Sienna Heights and Madonna on The Cave Saturday at noon with Chris Renwick and Doug Goodnow. Now Adrian College football, they begin a 5-game season this Saturday at Alma. Coach Jim Deere has a lot of personnel back on both sides of the ball. He tells us there's one advantage to the split season, fall and spring.
Well, the one thing, with the split season, it gives that freshman class an opportunity to be evaluated in the fall and then move into the spring, and you know exactly what you got. So we don't consider them freshmen anymore. They're sophomores basically, and I think by having the fall, that really helped our freshman class and helped us to be able to evaluate them.
Makes a great point. You can hear Adrian College football live from Alma College Saturday afternoon on 103.9 WLEN, WLEN.com. Game will be at 1 o'clock. I'll be there with Jay Hanna calling the game. The way Coach Sean Skelly looks at it, Adrian College is the defending champ, and St. Scholastica has to prove they're worthy of taking the Hockey Slats Cup from the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, regardless of them being the number 1 seed, that was by 1 point because, we ended up losing or winning in a shootout that only gave us 2 points in the standings. Again, we still we're carrying the trophy to Duluth, so hopefully, over 2 games, we're throwing that baby back on the bus and bringing it back home to Adrian. So we're excited for the opportunity.
Wouldn't it be savage if they just didn't bring it? They just left it in the trophy case here. Anyway, freshman sensation Jocelyn Udanish says they are out to prove they're the better team.
Well, I mean, usually we host it here, but it's a different year this year, and I'm really excited to keep on playing. We have another chance to show them who we really are. So
there might be some people that would question if you guys are the best team. I think you are.
I hope so.
You got something to prove, right?
Yeah, definitely.
That's right. Is that the mindset of the team right now?
Yeah, right now we're just, getting off the high of winning those 2 games this weekend and just ready to, get ready and mentally prepare for this next weekend because it's the biggest thing we have right now.
First game is Friday, second game and third, if necessary, on Saturday over in Duluth, Minnesota.
Great time of the year for hockey, and after last season's disappointment, I'm sure that's in the back of their mind.
Yes, it is. So, tournament action. Tom Izzo and the Spartans, they play tonight, late against UCLA in the play-in game. We'll see how that goes. We'll have that game on the Cave, by the way, so if you're staying up and about, catch the Spartans. A person familiar with the situation says running back Jamal Williams, he's agreed to sign with the Lions. He spoke Wednesday on a condition of anonymity because the team has not announced the deal. They see it being a 2-year, $7.5 million deal. He was the backup for Green Bay. It was Sadiq Bey, 28 points, 12 boards. The Pistons beat the Raptors 116 to 112. The Tigers lost to the Phillies Wednesday 2-0. And we have one wrestling result. I think there were others, but we had our own John Roberts watching the Tecumseh Adrian. I believe they were in districts yesterday, and it was Tecumseh 39, Adrian 27. So Tecumseh moves on. Congrats to them on the big win. And I think there were other county schools wrestling. I don't have those results. They were not in our stack today, so we'll do some digging during the commercial break. But
we also have, I don't know if you did, the Sienna Heights men's soccer team. They had a victory, earned their 2nd win of the season as they went into double overtime against WAC opponent U of M Dearborn. The score of 2-1. Juan Ortiz led the Saints as he scored the game-winning goal in overtime. So congratulations to the men's soccer team.
There we go. And flying through Twitter, I saw that Madison Cheer were district champs. So congratulations to them. And like I said, I'll scroll throughout the show. We will update you on that. But Tecumseh district champs in wrestling, congratulations to them. That's it for the update. We'll do another one at 8 o'clock.
And of course, always, if you have scores you'd like to pass along or some information, you can do that very easily. You can give us a call here on the studio line, 517-265-4000. You can send us an email, sports@965thecave.com. We are on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
That's right. And popping over to Monroe County, 26th consecutive district wrestling title for Dundee.
Nice.
So a state power continues to be
Boy, for
that.
a long time they've been the state power, it
That's
seems
right.
like.
That's right. So Pat, it's tournament day.
Oh, boy.
And I wanna get into some things. I have 5 tournament questions coming up in the next hour. So be ready for that. They're kind of fun. I'll give you my answer, and then we'll get Pat's take on it. But I want to start the tournament talk with a cool promotion we're doing.
Absolutely.
Your chance to win. You being the listener, so listen up, listener. You're doing it already. But fill out a bracket. I know you've done one. Okay?
Who hasn't done a bracket?
Right. We're all doing it.
If you
So-
haven't, this is the first time.
That's right. Be the first time on the cave. So go to our website, 965thecave.com. It's the basketball tournament challenge. I'm going to the site right now. So go to 965thecave.com. You can also find it. It's on our social media platforms as well. But when you go to the site, you'll go to contests, and it's the only thing in there. So you won't get confused. Click on that, college basketball tournament bracket, fill out some basic information like an email and what your name would be in the bracket. It doesn't have to be your name. You got a chance to win $1 million if you get the perfect bracket. That's always out there. We have some local prizes as well, and we'll let you know as those come about. But
Can we win those?
no.
Oh, darn.
I don't know. Maybe we could win the $1 million if we're 100%.
Well, yeah, why not?
I don't know.
Hey,
So-
yeah, I did it, so it's user friendly. Believe me, because
Pat did it.
I'm pretty challenged when it comes to that stuff sometimes.
That's right. No,
Yeah.
I'll agree with you. I'll agree. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
agree.
go to 965thecave.com. It's the college basketball tournament bracket.
You agree that I'm challenged, or it's easy for me?
The first one. I had to come in and sort of remind you how these computers work in here today. So
Boy, you know, it
you
just
said it.
comes and goes.
Oh yeah.
I did say it, but don't repeat it.
Yeah. So it's a whole bunch of fun. The cool part is, besides your chance to win all these cool prizes, you basically can pick against us, the cave dwellers. We'll have our picks up there as well. You can compare, critique, and then when we end up being right, we can rub it in your face. Or the other way around, for sure.
And you know, one of the good things too about it, and I did this yesterday, I made my picks, and then I was reading some information, and you know, I'm not sure if I wanted that team. So you can go back in and you can change your bracket up until the time of the first game being played, which is today.
So do they count it as today or Friday? This says the tournament starts in a day.
Well, that was yesterday,
So-
I think.
Okay.
Well, it starts today, right? Thursday, they play the play-in games.
Yeah. Maybe the challenge doesn't start till
Probably Friday.
Friday.
Yeah.
So just go on over, check it out, read everything you want about it. 965thecave.com. It's the college basketball tournament bracket. It's really cool. Big thank you to our sponsors for making that happen. Yeah, read all about it, fill out your bracket, be a winner.
What are
It's
our local
easy.
prizes?
We'll let them see. They have to go to the website, Pat.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
We were not just going to,
You gotta
give
do it.
them the prizes. We're not going to tell them what it is. You got to go find it. Trust us that they're cool. Check out the tournament challenge over on 965thecave.com. So like we said, we filled out a bracket. Pat made some changes, which you're allowed to do on the website. You want to sort of...
Just do it.
That's right.
There you go.
So do you want to kind of give the listeners a brief summary of what's going on in your bracket?
Sure.
Like any notable upsets? How far the 1 seed's going to go?
Well, I have 2 1 seeds in the final, but I'm not going to divulge that right now. But
Smart.
anyway, sure, there are some upsets along the way. I'm just going down my list right now to check and see what might be.
How many
kind of an
12s do you have beating a 5?
I've got one here. I got Georgetown beating Colorado, which
Yeah.
You know, that could happen. Georgetown is playing good basketball right now, and let's see, who else do I have? I have MSU, UCLA defeating BYU.
I think that's
11. That's
I think
11.
that's a kind of a common one. I think a lot of people think BYU might be overseeded a little bit. I will tell you, I do have that Georgetown upset. I think they're one of the hotter teams in basketball. I think it'll last for this game, and then that's it. But that's the 12 I have over a 5 seed on that side of the bracket. I do have another popular pick to do the upset at the 12-5. I think Winthrop over Villanova is another one that people are really going after. I think there's a couple injuries to Villanova.
Oh, definitely. Their best player is out for the season. He got hurt. He got a leg injury or something.
So that's a common pick. Winthrop is 23-1, so they know how to win.
I have an 11 over a 6 here. I've got Syracuse defeating San Diego State.
Do you really?
I do.
Boy, I'm really grumpy about Syracuse. Why they're an 11 seed, and kind of why they're even in this tournament. They have 1 win over what they call a quad 1 opponent, and they're an 11. I don't get that. I will tell the listeners that I have 2 number 1 seeds in the final, and I will tell you I have 2. Scratch that. 1 Big Ten team in the Final 4.
One team?
All those teams.
Oh,
I have
my.
1 Big Ten team in the Final 4.
Wow. Well, I guess I have 2 also, but interesting.
Yeah. So we'll get to that a little bit later. It'll kind of be part of my tournament questions, and they're thought-provoking. They might help you fill out your bracket. They might not.
Well, we always invite listeners to call in and tell us some of the things that they have on their bracket that might be a little bit out of the ordinary. Maybe some big upsets, and who knows?
That's right. And do you think State has a chance tonight? And if they do tonight, can they beat BYU?
Well, if you look at the WAB,
That thing you learned about on Tuesday?
we talked about on Tuesday, wins above the bubble.
Some people have too much time on their hands.
Yeah, we know who that is. But it is an interesting stat. But, Gonzaga is, of course, number 1. But how many teams did they play above the bubble? I don't think they played very many.
They played a few early. I
But,
remember they did beat Iowa by double digits. I think they might have played Kansas and a couple other big-time teams, but those were like 5 games early in the season. Now, when they got into their conference schedule, you got BYU, St. Mary's, I
Yeah.
think might be the other one.
Yeah.
And St. Mary's is in the tournament. They're a 16 play-in, but I mean, Gonzaga stays at the top. They just kept winning. I mean, it's tough to knock an undefeated team for being undefeated. You got to play your schedule, right?
Yeah, that's right. All right, hey, we got to take a break here. It's 20 minutes after the hour. You are inside the cave this morning, Yours truly, Pat Hayes, along with Ian Went. We'd love to talk with you. Give us a call here on the studio line, 517-265-4000. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Real big
And you're back inside the cave this morning on this Thursday. And Pat Hayes along with Ian Went with you this morning, having a good time so far, talking sports. And we're going to switch gears here a little bit, come back to some high school scores, some wrestling tournament stuff that's going on here.
That's right.
The rankings for the high school basketball.
Yeah, as I continue that, we're in the final week of high school basketball as districts start next week. There are wrestling districts that happened last night. These are the ones I found on Twitter. If you want to tag the show, tag the station, we're at 965 The Cave on Twitter, 965 The Cave on Facebook. Like us, follow us. That's also where you can find the stream for today's show. Pat and I are on camera, believe it or not. So if you've always wondered what we look like, there you go. It's the best you're going to get.
Well, we were talking about that earlier. We have faces for radio.
That's right. That's right. So in scrolling through Twitter, Tecumseh District Champs, Clinton District Champs, Dexter, and Dundee. So a couple of familiar wrestling faces there. Didn't see anything regarding maybe Hudson or Addison or any of those schools, but if I come across them, I'll let you know. But those are the district champs that I know of right now.
And regionals probably coming up next week.
I would assume, or maybe this weekend. As soon as that, I don't know. But
if there's any wrestling coaches out there listening, give us a call.
Yeah, call us, text Pat.
Yep.
Message the show on Facebook or Twitter. Comment on the YouTube stream, whatever. However you want to get a hold of us, that's fine. So it's been a couple weeks since I've done this, and I think it's cool, and I think it's important to recognize the really good programs for basketball that we have in Lenawee County. I do a power rankings, and these don't necessarily, of course, reflect the record. Because if you did it by record, what's the point? There's no point doing a power ranking. So this was as of last night, prior to the games that were played. So I know there were a couple last night. This is prior to that. Now I'll start with the girls, and I'll start from bottom to top. Adrian at number 12. It's just a player numbers issue. You know, talking to JR, there's like 6 girls on the team.
Oh.
It's tough to get stuff done that way.
And their record this year?
0-11.
Okay, yeah, well that makes sense.
Yeah, and then Addison, 0-12, just because they score a few more points. They've been in a couple games. Britton Deerfield at number 10, they're 1-12, so they have a win on the year. Hudson, 2-10. Morenci at number 8, they're 3-10, so they played one more game and got a win. Here's where it got interesting. 6, 7, 5 were really close for me. Clinton at 6 and 7, Blissfield and Tecumseh both at 7 and 6. I looked, and they didn't play each other, specifically Blissfield and Tecumseh. So I put Clinton at 7, Blissfield at 6, Tecumseh at 5. The SEC is a little tougher than where Blissfield plays the LCAA, just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
I mean, barely. So you could change 5 and 6, whatever. But for right now, Tecumseh's 5, Blissfield 6. The Madison Trojans from the TCC are my number 4 team.
They're having a pretty good year.
They are. They are 9 and 4 on the campaign. They've had a couple games canceled due to the school shutting down due to COVID protocols. So they have less games. They have 3 less games played than my number 3 team, the Sand Creek Aggies. Also in the TCC, they're 10 and 6. Team that I've had near the top of my rankings all year. They just continue their success for the Creek. The top 2, maybe controversy, maybe not. I'll explain. Runaway Christian at number 2. They're 10 and 3. They've played really good competition. I'm not saying they haven't. I'm not saying they don't have a McDonald's All-American, which I think they do have in Bree Salenbine. Are they as good a team as last year? you could question that. You know, they've played some good teams, and last year they would win those games, and this year they haven't. Can they turn it around? Absolutely. The region they're in talking to John Kane, is really tough. They have Grass Lake and
Ann Arbor Prep.
Ann Arbor Prep, who they've played Ann Arbor Prep
Yes.
and lost by
Yeah, a large
15,
amount.
20 points.
Yes.
So,
And they also have a high school all-world
yes.
player.
Yeah, they do. And, you know, that's kind of where I weighed in on that. Is like, I have to consider who these teams play, what the league is, and their record. And then my number one team, they stay there. It's the Onstead Wildcats. They're a really complete team. Some nights, you know, we read the update and it's Maya Hiram with 20 points. Other nights it's Kayla Ross. You know, it's this, that, or the other thing for Onstead, and all they do is win. I think there's a song about that. They're 13-3, so they've played 3 more games than Runaway Christian.
Do you think they play a tougher schedule though than Runaway Christian? I kind of think so.
In ways, I think they do.
They're a bigger school, of course. They're what, Division 2? 2 or 3?
I want to say 3.
3, yeah, probably 3.
Yeah, and they do. They do play bigger schools, and like you said, Pat, and they're consistent in what they do and their league and the LCAA for the Onstead Wildcats. You know, you have Blissfield in that league. That's pretty competitive. Clinton moving over in the LCAA now.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a few more rivalries built in, which make the games more intense, and it makes them matter more, and Onstead's been winning. I think you can make arguments for Runaway Christian at 1, certainly. Onstead at number 1. And I think you could argue Tecumseh Blissfield in my 5 or 6. But
Can't you have a tie for those?
No, I gotta make decisions. That's why they pay me, Pat, to make these tough decisions. So flying through the list, bottom to top, Adrian, Addison, Britton Deerfield, Hudson, Morenci, Clinton, Blissfield, Tecumseh, Madison, Sand Creek, Runaway Christian, Onstead.
And is this the final poll for the season, or
Regular season? Yeah. Well,
'cause this is the final week, and we probably have a few more games left, though, don't we?
yeah, I might revisit it for tomorrow's show because I'll be on with Jeff. We'll see if we have time for that, but it's normally a Thursday thing. We'll see. I might do a pre-playoff preview for these teams, but that's where the girls stand for me. Now the boys, there's a little more parity. We'll start at number 12. Addison, they're 3-10. Morenci 2-10. But looking at the wins, who they beat.
Strength of schedule.
Yeah, Morenci beat Hudson, and Hudson's up there at 5-12. And Addison is beating like East Jackson, who's winless, I think, on the year. So looking at the quality wins, Morenci did edge out. I don't think they played. Scratch that. Record scratch, DJ scratch. Anyway, I looked at the wins. Morenci's were more quality. They beat Hudson. They didn't play Addison. So I really factored that in to my seeding there. Runaway Christian, sort of a surprise. Toward the bottom, they played a tough schedule. A lot of county schools, a lot of quality teams. They're 3-11 on the year. Hudson, 5-12. Getting better, Hudson. Britton Deerfield, 5-9. They're hanging on there. They lost a couple seniors that were really key to their squad, but they're hanging out. Madison, they're 4-6 on the year. That is what it is. You know, it's a tough league they're in, and they've had, of course, that COVID pause earlier in the year. So
they haven't played as many games.
yeah, so it's hard to judge that team based on their record, because they could have 3 more wins, they could have 3 more losses. You don't know. Tecumseh, they've slipped a little bit. They're now 5-8. They play Adrian on Friday.
You hear that game too?
Could help them out.
Yep.
John Kane on the call for that one. Then I have Clinton. They've slipped a couple spots. They are now 7-8, but a good year for the Clinton basketball team for the boys. Probably surprising a couple people, but yeah, they're up there at 7-8. Impressive stuff. The Adrian Maples, they cracked the top 4. The Maples are 7-9, but good wins. They've had a couple tough losses recently to some of the upper teams in the SEC, but they're swinging punches.
And this Friday is their last game for the season then?
For the regular season,
Yeah.
yep.
So
Yep.
they can't quite get to 500, but close.
Yes, yep. But a win over Tecumseh
That would
gets
be
your
huge.
confidence going.
Absolutely, going
into
into the
the
tournament
playoffs.
and got some momentum on their side if they can win that one. But of course, Tecumseh, they want to win that one too. That's always a big, big rivalry. It has been for the beginning of time.
That's right. Yeah, Tecumseh winning the first game this year. Adrian trying to
Was that
get
a
that
close one?
revenge.
Close? I didn't catch the score on that one.
I think it was within 10
yeah.
or so.
Okay.
So a few possessions here or there. This might be the surprise team for the boys. Sand Creek, from the basement to the roof. The Aggies are 8-8 on the season. They got some really good wins, and they're playing people tough. They have an experienced team now. You know, a couple years ago, I broadcast the game in Sand Creek, and they were freshmen. They had a couple sophomores on varsity.
Young team.
And then in a couple years, boom, they're figuring it out. So they're 8-8.
Isn't it great to see the progression of teams? You know, like you say, they were an all freshman team almost, and here they are, sophomores, juniors, seniors, and it's like somebody turned the light switch on. They start winning ball games.
Yeah, the formula was there for the growth, and it's really cool to see. You're right.
And the Aggie Dome, of course, is a tough place to play.
The Aggie Dome?
Yeah.
Is that what they call it?
Yeah, the Aggie Dome.
All right.
Yeah.
That was cool. That was a fun gym to be at. Number 2, Onsted. They've played 2 more games than the number 1 seed, but they're 11-3. I'm really looking at their games against Blissfield. Those are the 2 in the LCAA.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They've split on the season. A close win for Onsted, but a big loss early on in the year. I kind of factored that loss in a little more than that close win, so I had the Wildcats at 2. Number 1, Blissfield. They're 10-2. They've played a couple fewer games than Onsted, but we knew what they were going in, and they've continued to be that team. They're long, they're experienced, they have one of, if not the best, boys basketball player in the county, in Ty Wyman, and he's got weapons around him to get the job done. So
That's a great senior class.
really is. Expectations high again for the Royals.
Always at Blissfield. I can't remember the last time they had a losing season. Somebody could probably tell me, but they're always right up there.
Yes, for sure. So I'll run through my 12 through 1, then we'll hit the break. Addison, Morenci, Runaway Christian, Hudson, Britton Deerfield, Madison, Tecumseh, Clinton, Adrian, Sand Creek, Onsted, and Blissfield. That's I'll say it's the final rankings, the power rankings for Lenawee County basketball for the boys.
All right, we got an update here on the wrestling. We found out the individual districts are this Saturday with the regionals next week. So they
Perfect.
had the team last night apparently, and then the individuals are this coming Saturday. Team regionals midweek and individual regionals next Saturday. So
There we go.
there you
Your
go.
wrestling update. But congrats to all those district champions for the team.
Yep.
They do their individuals, you said, this weekend.
Right. All right. We got to take a break here. You're inside the cave this morning with yours truly, Pat Hayes and Ian Wendt. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
High school sports.
Fired up after hearing that promo for high
It's
school.
good!
Only John Kane can do that, huh?
He got it to go!
Oh, that's great. I was listening to DA on the way in this morning, and they were talking about I'm not sure what school he's from. It's one of the smaller schools around New York area that are going to the big dance. And they're talking about the play-by-play announcer. And his signature call is, "If you don't like pizza, I don't love you anymore."
When would you ever use that in a broadcast?
That is his signature.
Why?
At the end of the game, when they win, it's, "If you don't like pizza, I don't love you anymore."
What team is his team like? The pizzas?
No. It's just, I'm not sure. I'd have to look through the.
Does he change the food, or is it always pizza?
It's the same thing all the time. It's just his way of saying, "Hey, we won the game. This is great," and yada yada
Take
yada.
that.
Yep, take that.
Eat some pizza.
Eat some pizza.
All right. Well, that's your weird update for the day. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pat / the DA Show. Really cool stuff. Quick talk about wrestling again. Big night last night for districts. Here are the winners that we have here on the Cave. Tecumseh, Clinton, Dexter, and Dundee for the area winners. So congratulations to them. We're gonna dive into the tournament. Whatever it is. For the NCAA D1 Men's Basketball Championship.
Yes.
We're diving into our bracket here on Inside the Cave.
Head
Yep.
first. All right.
I'll go first. We'll start on the left side of our bracket. Gonzaga is going to win the first game.
Yeah.
Oklahoma, I have beating Missouri. Creighton beating UC Santa Barbara. And Virginia over Ohio. Virginia's the 4 seed. I have Wichita State beating Drake. And then USC beating them. I have number 3 seed Kansas advancing. Oregon beating VCU. Iowa over Grand Canyon. Michigan easily. I think they'll play Mount St. Mary's. It doesn't matter. Michigan will win. Interesting matchup. LSU and St. Bonaventure. It's going to be LSU. I think they'll get hot and they'll win that game. A 12-5 upset. Upset alert. Georgetown continues to be hot, and they beat Colorado. Florida State over UNC Greensboro. I have Michigan State winning today and beating BYU. Now, I don't think it matters who wins tonight. I don't think BYU will last into the next round. Texas winning their first game. UConn beating Maryland. I think Maryland's kind of a borderline tournament team. And Alabama over Iona. Pat, do you have similar picks or a couple different?
We have about 4 or 5 discrepancies here. I've got the Zags, of course, winning their first game. Missouri, I'm going to pick over Oklahoma, which is contrary to what you have. I agree with you, Creighton over UC Santa Barbara. I've got Virginia over Ohio. I have USC winning over the play-in team. I have Kansas over East Washington. I took VCU over Oregon. Iowa over Grand Canyon. I have Michigan, of course, over the play-in teams. The Bonnies, St. Bonaventure.
You're taking the Bunnies.
I am, over LSU.
Eating pizza with the Bonnies.
And I agree with you on the 12-5 matchup, Georgetown over Colorado. Florida State over UNCG. And I'm going to take UCLA over BYU. I totally disagree with you on that one. I don't think Michigan State gets out of the play-in game. So UCLA.
I can't imagine why you would think that, Pat. Looking at your shirt today, I can't imagine why.
And I'm not biased or in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I know you're not. You? What? Pat, no way.
I've got Texas over Abilene Christian, and I'm going to go with Maryland. I'm going to go with the Big Ten team. Connecticut has not really played a Big Ten team this year, and they're going to find out how tough it really is. And I agree, Bama over Iona in that matchup. So those are mine.
All right, so relatively close.
Yeah.
A couple different.
Yep.
On the other side, Baylor walked through. I have Wisconsin over North Carolina. I'm going to go the Big Ten route with you, Pat. Wisconsin's been through the gauntlet. They somehow find a way to do something in the tournament, and I think they get a win this year. Winthrop over Villanova. That's another 12 over a 5. Purdue winning their first game. I have Utah State losing to Texas Tech in the first round. Arkansas by Colgate, your favorite toothpaste. Virginia Tech and Florida. I got Florida in that one. And Ohio State beating Oral Roberts. Maybe Colgate should play Oral Roberts. That'd be a fun matchup. Illinois and Drexel. Illinois going to win that one. Loyola, Chicago, and Sister Jean, they're going to beat Georgia Tech. Tennessee over Oregon State. Oklahoma State over Liberty. And San Jose State beating the Cuse.
No, San Diego State.
One of those. San Diego State beating the Cuse. West Virginia over Morehead State. Clemson is going to lose to Rutgers. That's an upset for me. And Houston over Cleveland State. So I got a couple Big Ten teams on that side.
A lot of similarities here. Of course, Baylor in the first number 1 seed. I've got Wisconsin going with the Big Ten over North Carolina. Winthrop and Villanova, that is, I just looked at Winthrop's record. They've only lost 1 game this year.
Yeah.
And I do have Villanova, but I don't think Winthrop plays the schedule that Villanova does. So
no, they don't.
Even with a couple of players out, their main man, I think they will be able to get through the first round. So I'm going to pick Villanova over Winthrop. I'm going with the Big Ten, Purdue over North Texas. I'm going to go with Texas Tech over Utah State, Arkansas over the toothpaste. I'm going to go against you on this one. Virginia Tech in an upset over Florida. Ohio State, of course, over Oral Roberts. Illinois, of course, over Drexel. I'm going with Sister Jean's team all the way. Loyola over Georgia Tech. I'm going to pick Tennessee over Oregon State. Oklahoma State over Liberty. I'm going with the Cuse over San Diego State.
Jeez.
This is another upset there. And West Virginia over Morehead State. And I'm going to go against you here on this one. I think Rutgers out of the Big Ten is going to show something and let Clemson go out in the first round. And I've got Houston over Cleveland State at the bottom of that bracket. So those are my picks.
All right, I think we're more similar than different.
Yeah, a couple of games there that could go either way. That Winthrop game and Villanova, that's really an interesting.
Everyone's talking about it. Are they talking about it too much? Are we thinking too much?
I think we are. I think we are.
You think we're overthinking it?
I think we're overthinking it, and
I think your thinking might be.
I think
correct.
It'll probably be a blowout, to tell you the truth.
Really?
But who knows? That's why we play the games, right?
That's right. Just put a number by them and match them up and play the game.
And
hopefully eat pizza at the end of it.
Check out the web too.
Wins against the bubble.
Yeah. John thinks that's
not WAP. That song. It's
WAB.
WAB.
WAB. Wins above bubble or something like that.
Something about bubble teams.
Yeah, look it up on the internet. I'm sure you can find it on Wikipedia.
Yeah, WAB.
WAB.
Don't look up that song.
No.
You'll be in the wrong lane. You'll be confused on a Thursday morning. Hey, I want to remind people about our social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, email sports@965thecave.com. We're streaming the show on YouTube today. That stream is being shared on our social media as well. And don't forget to fill out your bracket challenge. It's the Cave College Basketball Bracket Challenge. Check it out, 965thecave.com. You can also find that link in our social media.
Now we're coming up to the end of the hour here. A quick morning so far. Don't forget our second hour. We'll have the sports update for you. And John Borton, our regular Thursday guest from the Wolverine magazine, will be on talking a little bit about the tournament game for the Wolverines on Saturday. And of course, football season is getting underway with spring ball going on now at University of Michigan. So we'll talk a little bit of football and who's looking good, who's not looking good, and all that sort of thing. So
it's good.
It's good. Yeah, we should get that on a drop. He scores.
He lays it in.
A finger roll. A teardrop. He scores. Yeah. If you don't like pizza, I don't love you anymore. And that's going to wrap up the first hour. Thanks for joining us. Don't go away. We'll be right back with hour number 2 with Inside the Cave. Pat Hayes along with Ian Wendt this morning. Have a great morning. Two of Inside the Cave. Yours truly, Pat Hayes, along with Ian Wendt this morning. We're talking sports with you, and Well, it was the first hour went by very, very swiftly, and
I'll take all the credit.
you will. You
Yeah.
did talk a lot during that first hour, but
That's
anyway,
what I do.
that's what he does. All right, let's get things going here.
Now, since I did the talking, do you want to do the update?
It's all right. I've got too much to do
You
over
have too
here.
many buttons and levers? Okay.
Yeah.
Girls basketball, Onstead beating Sand Creek last night, 37-21. Other girls scores: Tecumseh 45, Pinckney 33, Morenci losing a heartbreaker to Summerfield, 42-40. For the boys, no real local scores. We do have Michigan Center over Vandercook Lake, 70-43. Adrian College softball, they swept Defiance College. The Yellow Jackets came into town. Bulldogs took them 7-3 and then 4-3. The final scores there. Sienna softball splitting with Spring Arbor on the road Wednesday. Sienna losing the first game 2-1 and then beating them in the second game 10-6. A handful of girls from Lenawee County, they've entered the wrestling state final competition this weekend. At least 4 from Clinton, another serious contender from Adrian High. We got that word from Casey Randolph.
Absolutely. Currently we have a senior J.C. Jones, two-time All-State, third, 2 years ago, fifth, last year. Looking to try to increase her stuff on the podium. Junior Taylor Randolph, she was sixth as a freshman and runner-up last year. Looking to try to get that top spot as well. The incoming freshman, Faith Blackburn, who's done a lot of wrestling already in her lifetime and looking to make some noise as a freshman. And we have a sophomore, Michelle Arts, that is looking to get on the podium for the first time. We have a couple other girls that are unable to compete, but we have 4 solid girls that are entering the tournament. And Adrian High School has Kayla Rada. She placed third last year and runner-up the year before, looking at getting at the top of the podium.
And again, that was Casey Randolph. Sienna Heights football, they're looking to keep the momentum going from their first win last weekend. Coach Matt Cohn tells us what he expects in the Madonna game Saturday.
Well, last week we saw great improvements on all sides of the ball. Defense, offense, and some big improvements on special teams. Set up some scores on special teams last week. So I just think we need to take the next step as a football team, continue to improve, and evaluate ourselves on tape with our own measuring bar, not the measuring bar that our opponents determine or our opponents set for us. And that's been something that we talk about daily, fixing our mistakes, improving our techniques, and getting ready for the football game. So it's kind of what we expect this game is just to take that next step as a football team and continue to improve.
Man, I think you got an incoming call.
I think he does too. You can catch the Saints and Madonna on the Cave Saturday a noon kickoff. Adrian College football, they begin their 5-game MIAA sprint this Saturday at Alma. Coach Jim Deere has a lot of personnel back on both sides. He tells us there's one advantage to the split season.
Well, the one thing, with the split season, it gives that freshman class an opportunity to be evaluated in the fall and then move into the spring, and you know exactly what you got. So we don't consider them freshmen anymore. They're sophomores basically, and I think by having the fall, that really helped our freshman class and helped us to be able to evaluate them.
You can hear Adrian College football live from Alma College Saturday afternoon on 103.9 WLEN and at WLEN.com. I'll be on the call for that one. The way AC women's hockey coach Sean Skelly looks at it, his team is the defending champ, and St. Scholastica has to prove they are worthy of taking the Slats Cup from them.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, regardless of them being the number 1 seed, that was by 1 point because, we ended up losing or winning in a shootout that only gave us 2 points in the standings. Again, we still we're carrying the trophy to Duluth, so hopefully, over 2 games, we're throwing that baby back on the bus and bringing it back home to Adrian. So we're excited for the opportunity.
Freshman sensation Jocelyn Udanish says they're out to prove they're the better team.
Well, I mean, usually we host it here, but it's a different year this year, and I'm really excited to keep on playing. You know, we have another chance to show them who we really are. So
There might be some people that would question if you guys are the best team. I think you are.
I hope so.
You got something to prove, right?
Yeah, definitely.
That's right. Is that the mindset of the team right now?
Yeah, right now we're just, you know, getting off the high of winning those 2 games this weekend and just ready to, you know, get ready and mentally prepare for this next weekend because it's the biggest thing we have right now.
That's right, no NCAAs for the Lady Bulldogs. Their first game is Friday night, second one on Saturday. Mini game if needed, Saturday night as well. Again, it is Bulldogs and Saints for the Slats Cup in Duluth.
And bring back that cup.
That's right.
We'll take it there first.
Don't even take it off the bus. Leave it on there. Bring it back home. Tom Izzo and the Michigan State Spartans, they will be in a first 4 in game against UCLA after needing their late season surge to get into the field. That game can be heard here on the Cave. And some wrestling team districts. Here are the winners we have: Tecumseh, Clinton, Dexter, and Dundee. So congratulations to those teams. As Pat mentioned, we have individual districts coming up this weekend, team regionals after that. So that's our sports update.
All right. If you'd like to talk sports with us, all you got to do is give us a call here on the studio line, 517-265-4000. We'd love to talk with you. Don't forget, we've got a guest coming up at 8:25 this morning. That reminds me, I got to do something.
That's right.
But we'll have John Borton from the Wolverine magazine on with us, senior editor, and always a delight to have him on every Thursday talking about U of M sports.
Yeah, breaking down the bracket Michigan is in, talking about the team without Isaiah Livers. That's where they're at right now, without his services, what they can do without him, and you know, an advantage of staying in Indianapolis, Indiana, has to be a benefit, you would think, for the University of Michigan and for the Big Ten. Wise move to move the tournament for the Big Ten from Chicago to Indianapolis to sort of give you a competitive edge, if there is such a thing, and a neutral court in a college basketball.
Well, you know, it's kind of a bubble. Of course, they're going to be playing at multiple sites in and around the Indianapolis area. Should be interesting to see how that works out. I think we've only had one problem with COVID with one of the teams coming in. Can't remember what team it was, but anyway, they're trying to.
So far, so good.
So far,
crossing our fingers.
Yes.
For everything else. Speaking of the tournament, you can be a part of the Cave.
Yeah.
Go to 965thecave.com, contest, college basketball tournament, bracket. So go up there, sign up, really easy, just an email and a password that you create, and you can make your picks, win some cool local prizes. There's a national prize as well, $1 million. So perfect bracket gets you that. You could be that perfect bracket picker.
Has there ever been a perfect bracket picker?
I want to say yes. I couldn't tell you what year. I can tell you it was not last year. No one was perfect last year.
Yeah, well.
Unfortunately.
Nobody won.
No, nobody played.
Everybody
won.
lost.
Yeah, everyone did. So, you know, be a part of the show. Be a part of the Cave. Just go to 965thecave.com under contest, college basketball tournament bracket. It's pretty self-explanatory once you get there how to sign up.
It's user-friendly. Even I can do it.
That's right. And if you know Pat, and he says it's user-friendly, we'll let you fill in the blanks for the rest of my statement. So I have some NCAA tournament questions we hope to have answered. I'll answer them, and I'll get Pat's reaction to my answer.
Okay.
Number one question: which Big Ten team will last the longest in the tournament? As we know, 9 teams made it. Big Ten considered by many to be the best in the country. How far will the last team go? Who will be the longest standing in the tournament? Here's my answer. And this is really telling you about my bracket. It'll be Illinois. Illinois will be the last team standing for the Big Ten. And my bracket, they are hoisting the trophy this year. Illinois, 1 seed. I think their path is decent. I mean, you have to beat some good teams once you get to the Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final 4, obviously the championship. But I think Illinois is the most complete team. They're not really dealing with injuries of note. They have one of, if not the best player in the country, in Ayo Dosunmu. And they proved in that Big Ten tournament. I mean, they were out to win that thing, and they'll be determined to get the job done. Pat, what do you think about my answer?
I can't disagree with you at all because, normally I would probably take Michigan to go all the way, but of course, without Isaiah Livers in the lineup, that really hampers Michigan's offense. Although, the last couple of games he played, he didn't score that many points, but he did play some great defense. But it's very unfortunate for him that, he's done. His career is done at the University of Michigan. We don't know that officially yet, but we'll talk a little bit about that with John Borton here in just a few minutes. But Illinois has, I was so frustrated watching them play Michigan because they, as you said, they have all the components to win it all. And if anything, I'm very, very happy that a Big Ten team will hoist that trophy at the end of this tournament.
Yes. When was the most recent one to do it? Was it Michigan State?
Probably Michigan State. I'm thinking.
Back in 2000?
Yes. It's been a while. It's been a while.
So in your bracket, Pat, what's the longest standing Big Ten team?
I have Illinois.
Illinois. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 NCAA tournament question. I have 5. Which number 1 seed will lose first? I didn't say the first round, but which number 1 seed will lose first? Mine is Michigan because of what you said. I think Livers is sort of a part of the glue that holds that team together. They played a couple games without Eli Brooks, one player, and they lost a couple games. Juwan Howard and company can prove me wrong, but I think in that Sweet 16 matchup, I think they'll get a Florida State team that's flying under the radar but really good. That's where I have Michigan losing in that Sweet 16 to a complete Florida State team. So, Pat, what number 1 seed do you think will lose first?
I think Baylor is going to lose because they're going to have to play a couple of Big Ten teams. Wisconsin, after they beat Hartford in their first round, they're up against Wisconsin, and that could be an interesting ball game. And then after that, if they win, they're going to have to play Purdue.
Yeah, likely.
So likely. So I don't think Baylor is the team that we think they are. I don't think they've played the level of competition that the Big Ten has played, and to have 2 Big Ten teams back to back, I think Baylor is out. Michigan, as you said, they're going to play the Bonnies in the second round, and then I have them up against Georgetown. That could be a good ball game there, and that could go either way. But definitely without Isaiah Livers, it's going to be a factor.
Yes.
In the ball game.
And the way odd you say that, Pat, about the Big Ten, I did notice that filling out my bracket. The way mine is set up, Baylor will have to play Wisconsin, Purdue, and Ohio State, and Illinois.
Right, that's exactly right. Can they get through that? No
and I have Illinois beating them in the Final Four, because I think by that time, they've taken a beating. But we differ on number 2. Number 3, what's the lowest seed to win in round 1? What's the lowest seed? What number is the lowest? For me, it's number 12. I have 2 12 seeds.
Yeah.
I have Winthrop and a Georgetown.
I think Georgetown. Yeah, I've got Georgetown in the first round. over Florida State. Excuse me, over Colorado.
So we don't think a 13 through 16 will get a win.
I don't think
Yeah,
so.
I don't think so either. I'd be surprised if they do. Question number 4. How many number 1 seeds will reach the Final Four? How many number 1s will reach the Final Four? For me, I have 3 of them. I think Gonzaga, Baylor, and Illinois will all reach the Final Four with the number 4 seed, Florida State. I had a hard time going against the number 1. Pat, you make good points with Baylor in the Big Ten gauntlet they'll have to go through if our brackets prove true. But how many number 1s do you have in the Final Four?
I have 2. Illinois is, of course, number 1, and then I do have Michigan. They're also in the left side of the bracket. And
So that tells me no Gonzaga.
No, I think Gonzaga loses in the 16. Virginia is going to beat them.
Okay. Learning more about our brackets here on Inside the Cave. Final question for the NCAA tournament. Which Big Ten team will lose first? What Big Ten team will lose first? So either in the play-in game today, wink wink Pat, or in the first round. Who's the first Big Ten team that's going to lose?
You know, I don't have a Big Ten team losing in the first round.
We'll count the play-in game.
Okay, Michigan State.
Okay, that's what I was getting
Okay,
at.
I'm sorry. You're right. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I was including that, and I'm not going based off. Well, Ian, one team plays at 3 o'clock and the other one plays at 6. Whatever. I'm just going for that round of the tournament. The first Big Ten team to lose, and I have as the only
Maryland, don't you?
I have Maryland losing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only Big Ten team I have losing. Kind of a fraud. Now, if you go based on how the committee thought about Michigan State, Maryland's wins against them weren't any good because they played a play-in team. So why are they a 10? Beats me because they played Michigan tough, because they got Juwan Howard thrown out. I don't get it.
We haven't talked about that, Juwan Howard getting tossed from the game.
We'll talk about that with John Borden. But I have Maryland, number 10 seed, losing to UConn in the first round of the tournament. So that kind of gives you a sort of a glimpse into our brackets, which will be up on the tournament challenge. You can pick your bracket, compare it to ours, and we'll have a good laugh either way.
And, you know, I might change mine before the tournament starts on Friday.
That's right. Plenty of time to do it. Go sign up right now, 965thecave.com, and you can think about these questions throughout the day. As you're sitting in your cubicle filling out your bracket, what Big Ten team will last the longest? What number 1 seed is going to lose first? Because that's when you really go out on a limb in your bracket. Anyone can pick the 8-9. Like, you know, it's not that big of a risk. But you have to go on a limb and say, I think this 4 seed is going to beat a 1. Or I think this 3 is going to beat a 1.
Speaking of going out on a limb, we're going to have our lock of the week coming up here in our last segment, so don't go away. That should be an interesting lock this week.
Yeah, and I talked about it on the Sunday show, weekend edition, Inside the Cave. I've picked, and it was brought to my attention a couple weeks ago, I've picked against Runaway Christian boys twice in a row, and they proved me wrong.
They burned you.
Yep, they burned me, so I'm not picking against them from here on out. This season, right now through the playoffs, it will not be Runaway Christian losing. I'm sure I'm getting some applause from Runaway Christian fans.
Yeah.
Ooh, speaking of that, couple new drops on the show.
Yeah, we do. We'll get those coming up here. We got to take a break
Okay.
here. John Borton coming up next from the Wolverine magazine. Don't go away. You're Inside the Cave this morning with yours truly, Pat Hayes and Ian Wentz.
The biggest
And welcome back inside the cave this morning. Ian Went, Pat Hayes with you today, and we're going to be talking about some Michigan sports as the Wolverines getting ready for the Big Ten. The Big Ten's try for a national championship. They'll kick off this coming Saturday down in Indianapolis, and John Borton will be calling in here in just a second. But Ian, a lot of the talk, of course, about Isaiah Livers with that leg injury and probably be out for the rest of his career.
Yeah, and certainly adds the leadership component, a really good defender. He can score when needed. Like you mentioned, he's not, a guy you need to get 15 from a night or 20 points from, but he's certainly a cog in the Michigan machine, which is what it's been this year. His injury, I think, will really impact this team, not right away, but I think it will later down the road. Yeah, it's just, I go back to the Brooks injury. He was injured, and then that was their loss to Minnesota. He was hurt, and that was their loss to Michigan State. And they got blown out by Minnesota. And then Livers goes out, and they lose to the Buckeyes. So is it right? Is that how that worked, or he got hurt in the Buckeye game?
I think he got hurt in the Buckeye game. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, and what does that mean? Do we look into this as Michigan needs all five out there to be the best they can be, or they can plug in these guys? I don't know.
Well, we had a strong bench all year long. Shawnee Brown coming in off the bench. He was an excellent player for Michigan this year, especially his defensive effort.
Sure.
And, you talk about Austin Davis, of course, Onsted product, came in and did a fantastic job when needed, when Hunter Dickinson was in foul trouble. So they had a strong bench, but, there's that nucleus that's been playing regularly all season long, and when you disrupt that chemistry, you never know what's going to happen.
And I think maybe what happened was teams focused in on Dickinson and said, you know what, we are not letting you beat us. And then that's when guys like Mike Smith, Isaiah Livers, Shawnee Brown off the bench, Franz Wagner, when they would play their best, is when Dickinson was playing his best. And now that, they're focusing in on Dickinson, he's not kicking it out to Livers, who can do his thing, or he's not kicking it to Brooks when he was hurt. Thank goodness he came back as quickly as he did. We were talking prior to the Big Ten tournament, he might be out a couple weeks. They might get him back for the Sweet 16. Could you imagine no Brooks and Livers for Michigan? That's a problem.
That's a big problem.
They're lucky to have him back, and it's a tough draw about Livers. He had an injury last year, didn't he? That kept him out.
He had a hip injury, I believe it was, and that kept him out for a number of games. And they certainly missed him then too. But I think the same thing happened. They went into kind of a slump after he went out last year. And but they finished the season well. But you miss one player, and it throws off that chemistry, as I said before.
Yeah, and it's not like football where there's 11 guys on one side. You got 5 on the court at a time.
I thought there was 12.
Yeah, depending what league you're watching.
Yeah, for sure.
What country, what kind of sport you're watching.
Yeah.
But this is going to be the moment for Juwan Howard, and I think he's had the right mindset of, okay, it's great we won the Big Ten regular season, but I want to play on April 5th, April 6th.
Mm-hmm.
I like hoisting this trophy, but there's a trophy I really want. Or, I like competing in the Big Ten tournament. He wanted to win that too, don't get me wrong. But, the night I want to be hoisting a trophy is February 5th in that national championship game. I think his focus has been good, and especially with Livers out, he has to coach the best he's been coaching at Michigan. You know, he's got the target on his back. You're a 1 seed. That 16's looking at you like, okay, we're coming for you. It's happened. I'm not saying it's going to. I don't think it will. But you're going to get everyone's best. And that number 8-9 matchup, the winner of that plays you in the second round. That's not a gimme, you know. And Juwan Howard has to step it up, become Mr. March for Michigan. Get the job done. He's had the core, like you said. He's gotten the right kids to the program. He's, you know, recruited Dickinson. He brought in Smith. He brought in Shawnee Brown. He's done the right things so far. He's got to get it done. He's got to get it done.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying national championship or bust, but, you know, represent. You've been one of the top teams all year. Keep it going.
All right, we have John Borton from the Wolverine magazine on the other end of our line this morning. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Pat.
Great to have you. Great to have you this morning, and I'm freshly back from Florida, and you got to bring us up to date here on what's going on at the University of Michigan. I know, of course, we've got the tournament coming up. Michigan playing this Saturday, and I guess what's on everybody's mind is the condition of Isaiah Livers. Is he done for the season, or will we see him play in the tournament?
Yeah, first of all, I'm glad you're back from Florida. Ian was a little bit worried that you wouldn't come back.
I was. And then, John, he comes back, and I don't see any suntan. I'm starting to think he didn't even go.
You know, he'll tell you he was working the whole time.
That's right.
Right.
I know Michigan is ready to go to work in the NCAA tournament, and the thing about it is, I do not expect Isaiah Livers back. He himself came out and said it would be, and I'm quoting here, miraculous if he was able to get back with a fractured foot, stress fracture in his foot, and if they made the Final Four, maybe he could somehow try to be ready to get it to go, but he's got an NBA future ahead of him, and the draft and all, and I just don't. I don't really see him taking that risk or being allowed to at this point. But the thing about it is, this team still has a great deal of talent, even without Isaiah Livers. Yes, they're going to need to do some things that to kind of make it run a little more smoothly without him. But as we saw in those closing moments against Ohio State, they can make a pretty strong run together. And we're talking Hunter Dickinson being at his best and working in tandem with Austin Davis, who that's been a terrific combo down the stretch. Franz Wagner has a great deal of talent. The guards are good. They play good defense. You mix in somebody like a Shawnee Brown, if he gets hot and plays like he can and shoots like he can, then I think you go a long way towards making up for the loss. You're not going to make up completely for the loss of an Isaiah Livers, but this can still be a very, very good team. And I think that as the number 1 seed, they are going to have a decently manageable first game. A lot of people are worried about LSU in the second game if they get that far, but I still see this as a Michigan team that gets at least to the Sweet 16 and certainly could beyond.
John, does this injury change the expectation? Because, this has been in a lot of people's minds a top 3 or 3 to 5 team. With Livers out, does it change that expectation at all?
Well, it certainly has changed it for the skeptics and for just those. You look at the team; it's not as good without Isaiah Livers. It's just not the same. I heard one commentator say that Michigan is very, very good on offense without Isaiah Livers, but it's elite with him. It's that one more part as you see this unselfish team passing it around the perimeter, or seeing Hunter Dickinson kick it out and then seeing it go around the circle. You've got Livers when he's in there, Franz Wagner, Sean Brown. Just a lot of shooters. Eli Brooks can come up and hit the 3-pointers, but you take one of those parts away, and the most veteran, the most savvy part, it's different. And so I think Michigan immediately went from, okay, this is a team that could win it all in a lot of people's eyes, to okay, this is a team that can go a little ways, but probably of the 4 number 1 seeds, it suddenly became maybe number 4 in terms of who was thought to go the farthest.
And with that being said, and looking back on the season, regular season, we've seen Michigan play without Brooks for a couple games. We've seen them without Livers for a half or so. Does this put pressure on Juwan Howard a little bit? Is he going to be the difference maker to, if Michigan can take that next step, or if they bow out early?
I don't see it that way, because at this time of year, you're a great coach if Jordan Poole, hits the bomb of a desperation 3 at the end, or if Glenn Rice goes crazy and
I think we lost him.
And that was the sound of a phone hanging up, getting disconnected. So we hope to get John Borton back with the Wolverine magazine to finish that up. So Pat, he said no, that Coach Howard won't be a difference. Was he back?
Yeah, we got him back.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, as I was saying, I think it's more the players at this point that, yes, Juwan Howard and his coaching staff can certainly throw some switches, and one of the biggest things that they have to do is adjust very quickly from opponent to opponent. But it's the guys out on that court that are delivering, and Michigan hasn't shot it as well of late, and they need some guys to get hot again.
All right, changing our subject here a little bit with the time we have left. Spring football has started at the University of Michigan. I think they've had, 3 or 4 practices so far. And what I've been reading is Cade McNamara is turning some heads over there at the quarterback spot.
Yeah, I think he's doing very well. I mean, it's, he certainly has some competition and is going to from J.J. McCarthy, but it's tough when you first learning how to put things together, and I was very impressed with J.J. McCarthy, or with Cade McNamara in the time that he had out there. You saw him in that game against Rutgers really rise up and lead. He's got to become more consistent in practice, but that's what he's trying to show now, and it's a perfect opportunity. There's nobody there that has experience in Josh Gaddis' system, and we heard from Josh Gaddis yesterday, the offensive coordinator. I think he likes what he's seeing, and it's one of those deals where Cade McNamara has all kinds of talent. I mean, he threw for 12,000 yards in high school out there in Nevada. I like him. I think he's going to be pushed very hard before all is said and done. I mean, you're talking about McCarthy and a little insurance, transfer quarterback out of Texas Tech who has experience, but so far so good on Cade McNamara.
As far as the defense is concerned, we have a new defensive coordinator at Michigan. How does the defense, as far as you see, John, shape up?
Well, I think there are considerable question marks there, Pat. I really do. And it's not that they can't get worked out, but again, several new coaches on that side, a new coordinator, new system. As you might expect, the defense is considerably behind the offense at this point. So there's some growth to take place there. Aiden Hutchinson is still not practicing, so that makes a difference on that defense. He's still taking it slow and working his way back in after being injured last year. So I think, naturally it's going to take some time for this to come together, but the good thing is they have time. They have these practices in the spring to learn. They can hone it on their own during the summer and then come back to fall camp. Long time before that kickoff in the opening game, but at this point, I think the questions are, A, how quickly do they learn this new system, but B, they've got to get bolstered a little bit in the front seven. Find some more players that can step forward, prove that they have learned, and among the defensive linemen and the linebackers, start to show that they'll be able to coalesce into a strong unit.
All right, John, we're just about out of time here, but we certainly want folks to learn how they can subscribe to the Wolverine magazine. I know I've been very, very happy with my editions gotten so far this year. You can get both the hard copy coming in the mail and also online services.
Yeah, I mean, anybody that wants the monthly magazine where we do all kinds of features and breakdowns and analysis, just call 800-421-7751. And if you want to visit us on a daily basis, we're cranking out the material for the spring ball and for the NCAA tournament, you name it. Just go to thewolverine.com. If you use the code BLUE60, you can get your first 60 days on the website absolutely free.
Great. Well, John, thanks for joining us again today, and we'll talk to you again next Thursday at the same time.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. John Borton, senior editor at the Wolverine magazine. We got to take a break here. It's 20 minutes before the hour, and our last segment coming up here. Ian Wett, Pat Hayes, your host this morning on Inside the Cave. Well,
it's
you know,
been,
of course,
it's been requested.
we've been doing a lot of bowling stuff this year, and a strike.
Got 'em all.
Got 'em all.
Eating pizza.
Whoa.
The Wizard the Scooch.
Yeah.
So now we got that for bowling, as their season probably wraps up.
You can't be serious. I am serious. Don't call me shook.
You missed those buttons, Pat. I know
Oh,
it.
I know.
It's been a long,
I've been
a
trying
long
to do
month
it
for you.
Go away, let me sleep for the love of God.
That's a good one
Oh,
for
those are
early
great.
in the morning.
Yeah, early in the morning. All right, where we going?
We're going to go the world of betting. Trying to make people some money. We have a lock of the weekend coming up that you cannot make money on legally, because we're going to pick a high school game. But
That's a no-no.
that is a big time no-no. But one of the biggest things that you can bet on now, especially in Michigan, is the tournament, the NCAA March Madness. I encourage you, implore you, almost beg you to go to 965thecave.com, get yourself signed up. The cave dwellers are the quote VIPs for this, so you can see our picks and pick against us, pick with us, agree, disagree. It'll be a fun time. Lots of great prizes. So go check it out on 965thecave.com. You can find that link. It's on our social media. Just scroll through and you'll be able to find it. But there are a couple lines that I found. One is from today and a couple for the weekend that I found interesting. That I think we should talk a little bit about. We will go with one of the 8-9 games in the tournament. Loyola Chicago, Georgia Tech. Now this game is not till Friday. This is a 5.5 point advantage to Loyola Chicago.
How can you go against Loyola of Chicago? I mean,
Is it unsisterly
yes,
to go
it is.
against them?
It's sacrilegious.
But that's a lot of points, isn't it, for an 8-9 game?
Yeah, it is.
5.5 points.
Yeah. Loyola is favored by 5.5.
They are.
Well, that's why I picked them.
So do you think they can cover that?
Sister Jean knows something, and I understand she's going to be on the bench.
I'm sure she's vaccinated, right?
I'm sure
she's
she
in one
is.
of those priority groups.
Well, yeah, she's got to be 75 and over.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you think they cover that 5.5, or do you think Georgia Tech keeps it close?
I think Loyola will beat them by more than 5.5 points.
I would go with Georgia Tech to cover. I think Loyola makes 1 or 2 more baskets, but I don't think it's a 3-basket difference. Look, Loyola plays in one of those conferences, and it's like, okay, who do they got? Drake that they played.
Who's in the tournament?
They're in a play-in, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Well,
I don't know. I don't know. I think it'll be closer than that.
Loyola's record is 24-4. Only lost 4 games this year. Georgia Tech 17-8. Of course, they play in a tough league also, but.
Right, but I just thought that line was intriguing. I would go with the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets to keep it close. Even though I did pick Loyola to win, I think they will. I think it'll be a 3 or 4 point game for Loyola Chicago.
Okay.
Another line I thought was interesting, another big number, and this is as of today. These could change at any moment, but I'm going to go to the 4-13 game. Purdue, North Texas. The number I'm seeing is Purdue minus 7.5. Does that number make you feel a certain type of way?
Well, North Texas is one of the teams that have been picked to possibly upset that Purdue team. I think they picked 5 or 6 teams with the most likelihood of pulling off the upset, and North Texas was one of those teams. So
you would favor North Texas in that spread?
It's a 4-point spread.
7.5.
Oh, 7. Yes, I think I would take North Texas as far as the spread.
I think Purdue is one of the most overlooked teams in college basketball. I think
Yep.
they blow them out. I think it's a lot of talk. I think Purdue wins that one. Real quick, University of North Carolina against Wisconsin. The Tar Heels are 1.5 point favorite.
Well, the Tar Heels didn't have one of their stellar seasons this year, finishing 18-10, just making it into the dance. Wisconsin, on the other hand, 17-12, but that record is not indicative of the competition that they played. And you look at North Carolina, they played Duke, they played them twice. The competition maybe a little bit subpar this year.
Yeah, I think Wisconsin should be favored. I think they should be the 8th seed.
Yep.
I would totally go Wisconsin outright to beat UNC.
Yeah, yes, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and that's what I got. Real quick, I know we have our sponsor coming up. Michigan State now a 2-point favorite against UCLA.
No way. UCLA will run away with this one.
I say you're full of it. I think State wins. I would take Michigan State to cover that. So we have a lock of the weekend.
We do. This week's Lock of the Weekend is being brought to you by Adrian Locksmith. Let's be honest, you couldn't pick your nose if it wasn't attached to your face, so I can't imagine you're any good at picking games. So we're going to help you out with the help of Adrian Locksmith. They have been serving Runaway County and the surrounding area for over 20 years. Adrian Locksmith is located at the corner of North Main and Maple Avenue here in Adrian. We'll be right back with our lock right after this.
Hi, this is Nick. Do you want to check or change the security on your home or business? Adrian Locksmith.
All right, who's our Lock of the Week, Ian?
We're going to the local game tonight on the Cave. John Kane will be in Hudson for Clinton and Hudson. Going Redskins with our Lock of the Weekend.
All right, you heard it right here. Our Lock of the Weekend has been brought to you by Adrian Locksmith. Security is their business. Adrian Locksmith at 402 North Main Street in Adrian. Call them at 263-1415 or check them out on Facebook. Hey, it's been a great morning, Ian. Thanks for being here with me.
Well, thank you for being here, for making the trip north.
Well, it was a hard one, but I did it. So, hey, tomorrow we'll have, you and JR?
JB,
excuse me.
Jeff Bowman.
Inside the Cave. Have a great day.